Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new video. I'm going to be talking about Birds Fear Death today. I've been a fan of Birds Fear Death since around 2021. They have a sound that hits you really fucking hard in the face. The music is depressing, it's foreboding, it's loud and abrasive, but sometimes it gets stripped back to its bare essentials. I'm going to be using this excerpt from her Genius page written by her top scholar on Genius, Tom, to describe her and her music in a general sense before describing each album respectively.
Kelly Wilhite,
also known as Birds Fear Death, is an 18-year-old transgender emo punk musician who incorporates distorted garage rock instrumentals, acoustic interludes, and shaky vocals. Her songs are often themed around drug abuse, death, and suicide. The project started out in 2019 with the release of Pigeon Days, Birds Fear Death's first album. The first track is Heroin Cheerleader. It's a quick opening track where we're introduced to a sample of a woman saying she wants to die. The first verse goes, "She blacks out when she's drunk and she takes the liquor straight. She's got friends in the business that get you cheap cocaine. She doesn't want to leave so she never takes a break. Just take her for a ride and you'll never be the same." There's this razor sharp guitar line that's playing over the whole song and a drum beat that can be heard in the back. The mixing on the drums is really low and mostly only picks up the cymbals. It's definitely lo-fi and I can see how people can be turned off by the rough mixing, but personally it doesn't really bother me. The second verse is really where things go off the rails. She stays out at the party until there's blood on the walls. If you give her $50, you can f*** in the stalls. She'll pass out on your couch and wake up in your bed. She's got coke in her blood and a gun to her head. And that's the end of the song. For the first Birds Fear Death song on the first Birds Fear Death album, it's not a bad way to open things up. Even at this early point in her career, you can hear how Kelly can tell a story through simple rhymes and a dark narrative. Birds Fear Death, the song, is one of my favorites. The acoustic ballad starts out pretty grim with lyrics talking about makeup on a dead body, presumably of somebody close to you. It ultimately ends with the lines, "Birds fear death, but I don't." A very powerful send-off to the song, with lyrics that really move me. I love the finger-picking on this song with the lo-fi production that adds to the intimacy of this song. It's a strong and great end to a second track. Lighter Fluid is kind of an indie rock cut with this jangly guitar that's not as distorted as some of the other songs before it. That being said, the cymbals on this song are pretty blown out, taking up the whole mid and high frequencies. My favorite line is, "She gets so high she speaks in smoke." The vocals on this song are very shaky and very anxious. It's not a song I come back to very often, but it's not bad. Next song is Bloody Nose. It's the first medium-length song at about 3 minutes long. This song gives me a strong car seat headrest or a Strokes vibe with it, with these lumbering guitars and lyrics that paint a picture of drug-addicted youth on cocaine, doing terrible things to get it. The lines that exemplify this the most are in the second verse. "You're skipping town and skipping class, and scraping up the broken glass. Fake romance to break a half, then sell her off to save your ass. Misconnections that you keep like best friends on your TV screen. Bridges burned with gasoline, and I'm just trying to come clean." Even if the song is simple, it's very vivid and the instrumental doesn't get boring. I really like the guitar solo that comes in the second refrain. It screams over this already destroyed instrumental. The next track is called Bird Trapped in a Mall. This is such a beautiful song. It's so short and punky, but when you hear that last verse of "clip my wings, can't hear you sing, hit the glass for the second time and fall, scream and fight, when the mall dies, you'll find my bones in the bathroom stall." It gives you the feeling of dejected adolescence, especially that last line, "I feel very near and dear to me, I work near a mall," and it's so depressing, so the song really speaks to my heart. The sound of it gives me like vague surf rock vibes, but sad and defined with these energetic drums. The song is distorted in a good way, but it's only around for about a minute and a half, and I really wish it wasn't so short. "I Won't Be Here Tomorrow" stands out with some nice, sad acoustic guitar chords and Kelly singing with no distortion and no effects. It's quite a sobering part of the song when she says, "running out of my medication, but at least now I can cry." It's a line that really resonated with me the most. The whole song has some pretty gut-wrenching lines, like the last line of the chorus, "I won't be here tomorrow, but you're the best thing about today." The song gives me the most car seat headrest vibe, I think, because the first two chords are the same as Drunk Driver's Killer Whales. It also has a very spoken word feel to it. Birds Fear Death is most likely influenced, even in a small way, by car seat headrest. I feel like everybody in the indie scene has borrowed their own car seat headrest-ism, but truly this is one of the best songs on display on this album. The next track is called When I Die, a Flower Might Grow in My Place. This is my favorite song on the album. The chords are so disoriented. It's like a distorted lullaby. I love the way that Kelly sings on this song. The closest thing I could compare it to is Jamie Stewart from Shoo Shoo, the theatrical, almost emo sound, but so broken at the same time. This time the lyrics are from the last lines of the song, and they go, I'm being eaten alive by unrelenting fears because I know the person staring back at me is hell. The song perfectly ends with such a frightening revelation, as if Kelly's only connection to the outside world is her music, and so the lyrics are there to point and tell a story. Alive is the last song, and it's absolutely devastating. It's barely a paragraph long, but it's about wanting to die with the world and praying that the person that you fall in love with doesn't die before you. The end of the song hits you with a 4 count and the drums come in to finish off, but then it's met by silence in the last few seconds. Pigeon Days is 8 tracks of lonely, isolated depression, lost love, drug abuse, and the extent that people will go to get drugs, and many other things. The best thing about this album is how forward it is with the vocals and lyrics. Even if you don't pick up on them the first time, you can vaguely put together the songs from context. The additional samples that start some of the songs really emphasizes the sort of mental turmoil that Birds is going through. This will become a repeating motif on all subsequent releases from Birds Fear Death. However, I do have some issues with this record. This is definitely a debut record. You can hear the influences of other fifth wave acts in Birds Fear Death, displayed rather prominently on songs like I Won't Be Here Tomorrow and When I Die, Flower Might Grow in My Place. Some of the more low-key acts like Weather Day or Car Seat Headrest or even Glass Beach, and some of the mixing can be pretty bad. Either the drums are too soft or too loud, or the harsh hum of the instruments is kept. The record can be pretty abrasive at times, but the songs are there, and if you don't mind the rough presentation, then Pigeon Days should be as enjoyable as it was to you as it is to me. I give it overall a 6.5 out of 10. About a year and a half after the release of Pigeon Days, Birds Fear Death would put out Hospital Songs on Bandcamp and later release tapes under Cloud Surf Records. I have one of these tapes, not bragging, and the other one that they also put out, but we'll get onto that later. I just wanted to read a little bit of the story building that Kelly put in the Bandcamp description of this album. You're laying alone in a sterile white room covered in plastic hospital gown, trying to discreetly hide your torn up arm from the social worker you're dreading the arrival of. Your only company is the quiet hum of the fluorescent lights. You're somewhere else. You shouldn't be alive right now. This works as a disjointed intro to the album because then we start with the intro track called How to Kill Yourself Painlessly and Instantly, which has probably been typed by 98% of the audience at some point within the last 3 years into an incognito tab on your school's computer. I'm looking at every single one of you. The song starts out with probably the most famous of the intro samples of one of Kelly's friends asking her if she's killed herself, and then the song comes crashing in. Its harsh rhythm guitars fill the whole bottom of the signal, while this higher distorted guitar plays a counter melody over these smushed drums. Kiss My Mouth Before I Choke, This Isn't an Album, It's a Suicide Note, is how the song decides to end, and it's a pretty depressing note. Slit Your Throat, which was the lead single for this album, also got the music video treatment. This was the first ever Birds Fear Death song I ever heard, and it's probably also most people's introduction to Birds Fear Death, with a crappy looking surreal video and a sound similar to the distorted fifth wave leanings of other major bands around the time helped it gain popularity. The music video sits around 5,000 views on YouTube and over 70,000 streams on Spotify. Its similar sonic makeup to the intro song is no coincidence, as both the songs have the same guitar lead sound and play similar things. The one thing that distinguishes the songs from one another is the vocals this time. The vocals are pretty drenched in autotune, making the lyrics sound even more alienated. Razor blades at the edge of my head kill the voices in my head is a great example. At the point, it's just a matter of preference if you like Kelly's autotune or not. I personally like it. It adds something unique to the sound that helps it tell apart from other bands of the era. The song ends at just a minute and 20 seconds and goes nice into Blood on My Hands, which starts out with a scream and a text-to-speech voice saying Birds Fear Death, after harshly transitioning into a high-tempo punk rhythm. Honestly, this song contains one of Birds Fear Death's catchiest choruses. How much concealer does it take to live a lie? Why am I apathetic to the other side? The way it's delivered, and the way that the mix is crushed and punky, really makes the track stand out. The other thing that makes this track stand out is the harsh noise section of it. I love when artists aren't afraid of making something that sounds really disturbing sounding, to really put you in the mind of the person making the songs, and Birds does an excellent job doing this in a song with a build that starts out with these reverse drums and guitars that then breaks into these samples and high-pitched noises. It's the musical equivalent of being shot in the head and surviving. The last minutes of the song is this very beautiful outro with this low bass and high synth, or maybe it's a guitar, and after a nice little moment the song breaks apart again, leading right into Dissolved Girl. This song is just down. This is what it feels like to have a suicide note painted by these lines. Last night I dreamt of you, a week before the day. In this tiresome reality I don't belong. You ever notice my shotgun in the corner of my room, and all I felt was bliss that 7 days from now I would no longer owe anything to this world. This soft acoustic guitar is playing these simple chords that remind me of something off a Smashing Pumpkins B-sides record, and the vocals sound so hollow and sharp like they were recorded in a small hallway or a bathroom. This all in combination gives this track an eerie feeling. Splitting the album in two halves is what it feels like, the other half starting with this song. Fentanyl is an upbeat yet horribly depressing song about overdosing and trying to stay alive. The chorus is mouth to mouth, face to face, look in the mirror and try to hide your face. And taking off your clothes makes me want to die, you can't kill me, I've already tried, are the lines that stand out most to me. The chorus is alluding to somebody overdosing and performing CPR, hence the lines mouth to mouth, face to face. Honestly, I know that art like this can be really hard to talk about, but this song, when it comes down to it, is a really solid song, with a great choice in chorus and composition. Once again, the only thing I have a problem with is that this song feels too short, at only a minute and 30 seconds, but the chorus is rather infectious. Sex Tape is the next song. This song is the longest one at 4 minutes and 18 seconds, and you can definitely feel it. I like the way that Birds emphasizes the low end of this song by making the bass pretty loud and keeping the bass in the guitars. The singing on this song is really theatrical and full of pain, even if the autotune can be a bit weird on this song. The drums also feel pretty balanced on this song. I really like the way that the song is so freaked out and manic while still being pretty slow in comparison to the other ones on this album. All I'll ever make is a snuff film and a sex tape for you to watch alone when you can't help but stay awake, is the defining line for me. The next track is Anorexia Song, a soft end and bitter death to a soft and bitter album. The last line reads, I come in your mouth and bleed out on the floor, I die apathetic, another nameless whore. Then everything cuts out and the noise takes over. In my head, this is where Bird's character dies in a metaphorical sense. The end of the album is harsh and burning and doesn't leave you with a good feeling. But overall, this album is great. I think it's a step up from Pigeon Days in pretty much every way. The production is tighter, the songs are more well put together, and some of the songs are getting longer and feel like one cohesive story. At least that's how I feel about it. Overall, this album gets a solid 8.5 out of 10 to me. It took almost 2 years for Birds Fear Death to drop another album, but Livestream Death compilations came out in February of 2022. Pretty Girl Snuff Film was the first single on this album and also the opening track, so I'll talk about them right now. The song is dark, which isn't uncommon for Birds Fear Death, but the chorus, if you can call it that, is Kelly screaming, "Kill yourself," 31 times over this horrifying sonic backdrop with these low notes and high strings, giving a good counterplay. Besides the kill yourself part, as I will be calling it, there are some pretty noteworthy lines with, I don't deserve to want to die, sympathy's not for girls with cut up thighs. This song was the first tease of what's to come, and what came was my favorite Birds Fear Death song ever, fucking love song. And from what the title suggests, this is a love song. Not a pretty or a perfect love song, but a haunting love song about someone that doesn't see them as their everything, and the fantasy that Kelly has for this person. The song starts out with this 40-second intro. It's like Kelly's on stage and she's pushing the song back, not wanting to spill all the words out. But then the words come out. Taking off my clothes, slash wrists in the shower, cry out my mascara, weigh yourself in the mirror. And the end of the line, you can hear her gearing up for the next lines. I want to fall into your arms, give up on something I'll never let go. These lines are so beautifully written, and this melody that they're sang with is so entrancing. Truly some very beautiful writing hidden in all the noise. I'm very happy to see that this Birds Fear Death song is the second most popular song behind Pretty Girl Snuff Film. I love how the guitar chords are clashing on top of one another, and the mix is so dense that the noise, it just feels like it's all falling apart, like there's no cohesive center to it. Again, please check out this song. It's so fucking awesome. NSFL, or Not Safe for Life, is the next track, and oh boy, do I not know how to start with this song. It feels like you're in a glass room and there's 100 voices around you all screaming with this overblown out tinny instrumental. It feels like a lot of the musical complexity is lost in the distortion, but I can still hear it. The hi-hats are mixed really loud, and I like that. It gives the whole song a dreamy feel. It takes around the same time to get to the lyrics in this song like it did the last one, leaving the first 40 seconds to instrumental and random disjointed vocals. After finally resolving into a chorus-like structure, this time the lyrics are revolving around two lovers living their lives and
having sex,
and then both killing each other by the end of it. I really like this song for the structure that it goes for, and I do come back to the song quite often. I love all the vocals in this song and how layered they are. I definitely do recommend this one. The next track is Do You Still Believe in God? It's basically a song about wanting to kill yourself. Lots of us have problems with imagining what we'll be like when we're older. Like, I can't imagine myself being 25 one day. I don't even know what that's going to look like, but it's a very real thing, and Kelly points it out on the song saying, "Note on my door that I'm never coming home. I am not the part of me that lives past 17. The song honestly isn't my favorite song. I still like the musical arrangement of the song, but the song is pretty overbearing with its lyrics, and I personally don't feel comfortable listening to it all the time. But to each their own. The last song is Bodies. It's just this emotional ballad at a surprisingly high quality. The noise is instead replaced by these acoustic instruments and glockenspiel. The most abrasive instrument would be Kelly's voice, due to the way that she screams. Kelly's writing is on full display as she goes from soft to screaming in a matter of minutes, with my favorite lines being the last two that I interpret through my trans lens. So let's mark our graves with our new names, and from the inside we'll watch our bodies burn. It's an emotional send-off, talking about two lovers trying to make it out of their town. This song is my second favorite on the album. It really pays off with its longer structure and poignant lyrics. So at just 5 songs and 10 minutes, that's Livestream Death compilation. This is my current favorite Birds Fear Death album, and I rank it at a 9 out of 10. I feel like it has the highest concentration of good songs, since it's only 5 songs, and I liked all 5 of them, to varying degrees. That being said, I don't think it's perfect, and that's why I'm giving it 9 out of 10. Birds Fear Death is one of my favorite musical projects. I mean, I like all 3 of their albums, and I can't wait to hear what they have next. As far as collaborations go, they did do a couple features with other artists in 2021, including me. Yes, me, Fosvolta2, Eden, CZX, me, have 3 songs with Birds Fear Death, but lately Birds has been collaborating with DigiKitty as they played a couple shows together, and Kelly often pops up on their posts. Kelly and Lucy have their own band called Go For A Punch that is relatively small right now. They have a single and an EP. If you guys want me to cover them, leave a comment, but for now that's all of the current Birds Fear Death stuff I wanted to cover. They also played like a Minecraft fest, and I think that's funny. Thank you for watching this video. It's taken me forever to make this video, so thank you. Bye.